What's up, everybody? It's Jeremy here from OCEANBOUND, and I have waited a long time for today. The UHA day has finally cometh, you know? It's the Armstrong sends their foils out, I guess, to their big favorite companies first, and I get that, but I've got to support my local wing dealer. Check out Phil at kitesite.net. He's awesome. Since launch day on January 15th, I've just been like watching everyone say how amazing these UHAs are on social media. Very typical. And usually by the time I get my new toy, some skepticism has kind of grown or built from like, you know, all of these frontline frother reports. Can they really be true? You know, in the long run, they're usually not as incredible as people say they are at first, but I have to know for myself. So for weeks, I've been clicking refresh on the tracking number patiently and waiting for it to kind of pop up on the grid. And it finally popped up earlier this week, and boom! Yesterday, my 1070 finally arrived. Talk about anticipation. I gotta take this thing out. But looking at the temperatures for the next few days, today was the only option. You know, it was 25 degrees out. You know, freaking cold, but warm compared to like 15 that it's been, or like 8 that it's gonna be tomorrow. Wind blowing 22 from like the northwest at Pleasure Bay. Northwest is one of the worst directions I can think of, and it's been snowing all morning. You know, we got a couple inches. I passed families sledding on the hill, you know, on my way down to the water. The other day I got a text from a winger who sent me a picture, and Pleasure Bay was half frozen over by ice. And dude, that's insane. I've lived in Boston since like 1998, and that's only happened once. But today, actually, this northwest wind, usually the bane of my existence, has blown the ice to the eastern, farther part of the bay, and so I'm super stoked about that easy out. And so I headed to P Bay. Park, here we go. Whew.
Make a little bit of space here. Put some gloves on. It's a good move. Oh man, I meant to bring another leash. I actually have my old Armstrong mast today, only out of laziness because I didn't feel like putting my Armstrong adapter on the Cedrus mast. So it's just so cold. It has been months since I've been on my Armstrong mast, and I'm gonna be honest, lots changed. And I know where I was putting my mast before. I was putting it pretty far forward at like 14. I'm starting this off at 10. My thinking is it's cold. Foils have more lift when it's cold. The water temperature is, I'm gonna post it right below here. So that means that these foils have more lift than they typically would. I don't wanna put my foil farther back. So I'm literally putting it 4 centimeters back than I used to ride this thing in the summer. UHA1070. Here we go. Okay, now, the question is, oh man, do I wing first? Or do I try the paddle? All right, I'm gonna try to paddle first, but I'll get the wing like set up, ready to go. But okay, paddle time, here we go. All right, so I'm using a 140 tail. It's double shimmed, which isn't gonna be the best for paddling, but it is what it is. We'll just make it work. I just wanna see if I start to feel lift. Paddling with these gloves on, paddling in a 5.4, it sucks, but I'll know shortly if this is paddleable, and even if it's close to paddleable and I go work on it, that's the best case scenario. If it's not, Well, then I just got a really big light wind foil that I'll just be using for parawing, but we'll see what happens. All right, cool. Let's do it. Thanks, Mr. Plow. His name again is Mr. Plow. All right, so I'll start paddling up there to see how it feels. It's an obstacle course. This is weird. Okay, this is basically, it's kind of like Nahana, everything's half frozen under there. Okay, there we go.
I started with my usual warm-up. I have to get, kind of to the other side of the bay so I can paddle with the wind. So I did over 100 practice warm-up strokes, focusing on technique, reach, speed, bending my legs with the catch, and like zero pressure. Turned around the other side, staring downwind. I go to make my first attempt.
All right, here we go. Attempt number 1, 1070. I really hope this works. All right, round 1, I give it a success even though I wasn't really pumping too much. I think to my detriment, I put a red and a blue shim on. For paddling, I should have had no shims, but it's fine. I'll try it once, maybe twice more, and then we'll get the wing out because I think there's enough wind, or there seems to be enough wind in moments. I think this is it. I'll do maybe 7 or 8. But if I get this across, then that's it, and we're gonna wing. Let's rip it. That was cool. It's a big spanny foil. And honestly, they're harder to get used to steering. But it's not impossible. It does pump nice. That was cool.
Paddling the 1070 on flat water was not part of the initial equation, but after I committed to this size, I was definitely wondering if I could paddle it up and what it would be like. I can paddle up my Code 1130, but not the DWP 930. Fast forward to today, it definitely works, and it's actually easier than I thought it would be to get up, but the wingspan makes it a little awkward to balance on.
All right, I really need to keep my feet farther back.
This will get better with time. I mentioned I put the mast at 10, I used to put it at 14, which is really far forward. And I feel like I've been creeping the Cedars mast, a little farther back in the past few months, and so I started the Armstrong mast at 10 today, and then it just fell too far back. So next session, if I'm on the setup, I'm gonna go back to a 14. Although next sesh, I'll probably be on a new board. My buddy Nick is sending me a 90-liter downwind board that I'm gonna be using for parawing. So of course, I gotta try to paddle that thing up too. So that's probably gonna be my next sesh, we'll see. I used a 140 dart tail and a 1.5 degree shims, and next time I'll definitely dial back the shims if I'm paddling. It seems like most people are enjoying the 120, the 130, and the 140 tails. I like speed, but I also like stability too, so yeah, I started with the 140 and I'll probably use that the most, but I'm sure I'm going to be on that 180 tail soon enough. I admit, the glide and the pump on this thing are really nice. I tried 13 paddle up attempts today, and most of them were only brief times on foil. My balance was off. A combo of span, bad mast placement, and inexperience.
By the time I got up, my legs were shot.
And I'm wearing a 5'4" wetsuit with 5mm lobster claw gloves, so I was already exceeding my expectations.
All right, let's get a wing.
I just can't tell you how amazing it is that I can paddle this thing up.
Oh yeah. All right. Whew. Wing time. Oh, float, it's been a while. I think this combination I should have 20. It's a little suspect. I don't even know. Oh, I don't even have a leash on them. That's not good. There's like a storm of ruin. Look at this line. I think it's a snow line. Felt the gust. Yeah. Oh, should be plenty.
I mean, this is pretty sweet that I can use a 3-meter with this setup. The wind was light for most of this sesh, and it was very up and down. It wasn't a shred sesh, it was a flat water proof of concept sesh. Jives aren't totally bad. It's much easier with the wing to help me balance. And I knew it would happen. My board camera was in the snow for a while I was pumping up the float, and it kept dying on me out in the second session due to the cold while I was out there. So pro tip, in these temperatures, you gotta leave the GoPro on and running so it builds its own heat. If you keep turning it on and off and it starts to get cold, that battery will just say, no, I'm sleepy. Of course, I let my guard down and I let go of the wing. It was blowing towards the ice. I paddled hard and I was lucky I got this thing in time. So use a leash, kids. I wasn't out super long. Only 25-30 minutes tops.
Well, everyone, I'm good. Like, this is fine. I can't believe I'm out on a 3-meter for the 1070. I'm psyched. But I'm cold. The wind picked up and it's a lot colder and more raw in my face. So I'll just take one tack in. Oh, shit.
And that's it, everyone. More soon. Thanks so much for watching. I actually see some waves on the forecast in like just over a week, so I hope to be out on some waves soon. I'll have that new 90 liter and I'll just be itching to try it, and as much as I want to rip waves with the wing, I'm probably take out the PT skin. So if you want to see some more of that, please consider clicking the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And I've got some t-shirts for sale. This one actually wasn't up until today. Might be. I'm still working on my Shopify skills, so please bear with me. Links in the description below. Drop a comment, say hi, ask me questions, call me crazy. I think you guys are all amazing, and I love reading, responding to all of your comments and messages. And with that, I hope all of you guys are doing well out there. I'll see you soon on the flip. And I wish you all an awesome day. Stay warm. Later.